So the next time that I had an experience like that where I knew that I was receiving communication from somebody who had already passed was my maternal grandmother. And things were really difficult when she passed away because she had had some issues with her heart, and she'd been through open heart surgery. And she'd been home once and then relapsed and was back in the hospital, I think for maybe a week or so. And, eventually it was determined that everything was fine. And she was supposed to be going home. The day that she passed was at Easter Sunday, just before midnight. And she was supposed to be going home on Monday morning, and everything was supposed to be fine. She was only 70 years old, just retired from her job that she'd worked at since she was 18, when her illness with her heart started. But everything was supposed to be resolved, and she was supposed to be going home. And our family received the call just before midnight on Easter that she had passed, and it was really unexpected. It was very hard for all of us, I think. But really, I didn't have a lot of experiences yet at that time. I was, I believe, 24 at that time, and I was really just kind of getting more into paranormal things and learning about like spirit guides and how to communicate. It wasn't anything that I'd actually attempted to do, but just really kind of trying to figure out like what is the other side and what happens after death, and are we still able to communicate. And like I said, it wasn't anything where I was like actively trying to communicate with anyone, especially not with my grandmother. And at that time I was in my master's program, working on my intervention specialist degree, and I had a paper that was due. And whenever I was working on papers, I would go to my parents' house and just use their computer and their printer. It was just what was easiest for me to do at the time. This was in 2007. And I was in my parents' office working on the computer. And I had typed my entire paper. And it was a speech evaluation. I had to like record a child and then listen back to the recordings and evaluate for speech therapy. So I had to like document exactly what the child was saying, and I had everything typed out on the computer, and I was just reading through my paper because the actual speech excerpt was all that I had needed to add. Everything else was finished. So I was kind of reading through my paper and just proofreading it and making sure everything was ready before I printed it off. And I heard somebody call my name, and it was just Val. So I thought it was my mom calling me. I figured maybe, they had made dinner or something. So I said, just a minute, I'm almost done. And I continued, reading the paper, and I got to the end, and I heard like, Val, hey Val. And I said, hold on, I'm finished now, I just need to print. And I clicked print, and I walked out to the living room where my parents were, and I was like, what did you need? And my mom and dad were just sitting there watching TV, and they said, what are you talking about? And I said, you were calling me. I just heard you calling my name. I told you I'd be out in a minute when I finished. And I told them exactly what I heard. And my dad pointed out that that's exactly what my grandma sounded like when she would call my name. And when I was younger, like preschool and early elementary school, I would just like read and block everything else out. And it's exactly what her voice would sound like when she was calling my name. And if she didn't get a reaction the first time, that is exactly how she would call me again. So I'm really pretty sure that was my grandmother trying to communicate with me and let me know that she was there that day.